Welcome back to Modern Art Blitz. My name is Matt Gleason. My guest is artist and movie producer. Can you believe it? Movie producer? Stephen Seemayer. Steve, welcome to Modern Art Blitz. You were on earlier this season, and we were talking about some of the painters you know in your art career. Interestingly enough, now with your favorite baseball team, the Dodgers, in the World Series, we're not going to talk about baseball. We don't want to talk about that sport till April, till next year. We want to talk about the movie you produced.
Well, I produced and directed a feature documentary. It's
look there. Look at what we got for you there. What's that?
That's the American Hotel, somewhere in the 90s, and that's the front door of the American Hotel.
Actually, your website says 1984.
Oh, no, it might be. I was thinking early 90s, but
okay.
But I have photographed the American Hotel for so many years that I can't tell within a couple of years, so.
American Hotel. It's not a traditional hotel with a lobby and a bellhop.
Well, it did.
It did?
The American Hotel was built in 1905, and it was built as first-class accommodations for Negroes.
Okay.
And that is how the Los Angeles Times wrote about it the day it opened up in 1905.
Kind of a historic day.
It was.
It was the Jackie Robinson of hotels.
Yes.
In downtown LA.
Sadly enough, racism, although it's incredibly prevalent in the city of Los Angeles now, it was incredible and harsh in 1905 in Los Angeles. A black man arriving in Los Angeles could not rent a hotel room in downtown Los Angeles. A black man could stay at another black person's house, or they could sleep in a barn. But if a black man went to any hotel in downtown Los Angeles and he said, "I'd like to rent a room," they would say,
"Get out of here." They
would give him the boot. And all the porters from the Southern Pacific Railroad and the Santa Fe Railroad, the porters coming, the African-American porters would get off the trains in Los Angeles, and they'd have to clean up, freshen up, stay over at a place for a day, and they would discover there was no place to stay. And the railroad said, "We got to do something about this. We've got men that we have hired. They need to stay over at a place." So they got together with a developer, and that developer built a hotel on the corner of Hewitt and Traction, specifically as first-class accommodations for Negroes. Wow. And they opened it on that day, and this was the first time that a black person could go to a hotel in Los Angeles and rent a hotel room.
Ooh, man.
So it was made for African Americans, and in fact, that neighborhood of Hewitt and Traction is the first black neighborhood in all of Los Angeles.
So that's east of Alameda, and between the Alameda and the river.
Yes.
Was
yes.
and then
it was not Little Tokyo. It was, and this is before the Central Avenue jazz scene that moved down Central Avenue from 12th and Central and further down. This is years before that this neighborhood was an all-black neighborhood.
Okay, and then now fast forward. Look at it now. Look at the screen now. Right. It's kind of a hipsterville now.
Yes, it is. It's gone through enormous changes, and there's been incredible people that have lived in this hotel over 112 years. It's incredible stories of people that lived here in the Roaring 20s that we uncovered.
You uncovered stories about the American Hotel in the Roaring 20s?
Yes.
Wow.
Incredible stories.
Incredible stories.
Bootleggers. We've got one chapter in the movie called Bootleggers, Bronzeville, and Baseball.
Wow.
Because before, we were talking about baseball, and before Jackie Robinson, 20 years before Jackie Robinson was ever allowed to play for major league teams, a man owned a bar called Joe Peroni's that we came to know as Als Bar.
This is before Al.
Oh, way before Al.
Okay.
Way before.
Joe Peroni.
Joe Peroni not only did he own a bar, but he owned the first integrated baseball team in Los Angeles.
Really?
Anywhere in the United States.
What was the name of that team?
Peroni's All-Stars.
Peroni's All-Stars? Where did they play?
They played on a little field called Anderson Field across the bridge on Anderson Street, where now there's Artist Studios. There was a baseball field there.
Wow.
And such great African-American pitchers such as Satchel Paige were
Hall of Famer.
Yes, and Satchel Paige probably came to Peroni's Bar and had drinks. And you got to see the photographs of what the inside of the place looked like.
Of what most of at least my generation and your generation, and I'd like to point out those are two different generations. We know that as Als Bar.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And Als Bar has gone through a couple of changes itself over the years.
Who founded Als Bar?
The man who started Als Bar was named Alphonse Vasquez, hence Als Bar.
Okay.
And after a few years of
Did he buy it from Joe Peroni?
Well, after Joe Peroni left, a couple of other bars went there. In fact, it was called Jesse's Hideaway for a number.
Jesse's Hideaway.
Jesse's Hideaway.
And Jesse's Hideaway ended up upstairs, right?
Yeah. Well, we have an incredible photograph of it as Jesse's Hideaway. Big sign that says it on there.
Jesse's Hideaway. Wow.
Jesse's Hideaway. And then it finally went to Alphonse Vasquez, and he named it Al's. And he really didn't like the bar business all that much.
Okay.
And then he ended up selling it to someone we know that came in and decided.
This is where the kids should hang out, and the kids should have their own music here.
Right.
So, and then, now, lore would have it that the band Nirvana, before they were even famous, played at Als Bar, that little punk rock bar dive.
Yes.
And this is true.
Yeah, absolutely. We have video and still photographs of Nirvana playing in there. Slash of Guns N' Roses got his start there. He wrote about it in his biography. That
wow.
He said, Al's was the first paying gig I knew because I got free beers and that made it truly professional.
Well, you know, don't tell someone you gave. Here we are in Als Bar. Wow, wow, wow. What year was this?
That is the night Als Bar closed, and on the right-hand side is the image of Gary Leonard,
the photographer. Take my picture, Gary,
with a mustache, and right in the center there, sitting at the bar, is a man named Dean Abramovich, or as he was known as Dean the Taping Machine, because he probably recorded 1,000 bands at Als Bar.
Okay.
And he would just bring his little camera and, not a camera, a microphone and his tape machine, and he would tape every band playing. And he has probably bootleg copies of every band we ever grew up with. And
wow,
he's got thousands of cassette tapes.
Most of it?
Yeah, well, it was pretty terrible.
There were nights people used Als Bar as a rehearsal space. Let's be honest. But there were nights that it was crowded.
Absolutely.
But the night Nirvana there wasn't that crowded.
Right.
You know, nobody knew about them.
And the bar went through a lot of changes over the years. It started looking one way, and as the years went on, it became more and more tagged with graffiti, and then really kind of.
But most of your movie, how many chapters are in the movie?
25 chapters.
25 chapters. Okay, so War and Peace, but most of it's about the hotel itself and the people who live there.
Yes, the movie tries to talk about the lives of a lot of special people in the 20s, during the Great Depression, the 1930s, the 40s, the 50s. We cover every generation. We've got incredible stories from World War II of people that lived in the American hotel. And some of these people are still alive, and we interviewed them.
Man. So, how many people did you interview for this movie?
We interviewed 149 people, and we flew, to get these people, we flew as far as New York and Connecticut, Tampa, Florida, Oliver, Manhattan, we went to New Orleans and Jay Bright. We went to Las Cruces, New Mexico to find one of the owners that owned the building for 40 years. We went to San Francisco. We traveled all over the United States to get these 149 interviews, and a lot of them, we actually used a room in the American Hotel that the current owner, Mark Verge, was kind enough to make available to us for the movie.
Nice. So the American Hotel now, it's like $100-something a night.
$129 a night for a room.
Yeah. Bathrooms are still down the hall.
Yes.
And let's look at this. This is Karen Zinder-Schuler and her husband, the late Dustin Schuler, planted an airplane on the wall, the exterior of the American Hotel for how many years?
It was there for about, I think, about 3 years.
About 3 years.
And Karen Zinder-Schuler, Dustin has now passed away, but he put that Cessna airplane on the wall, and he used a giant 20-foot nail that he called Tutankhamun as a play on words.
Tutankhamun, yeah, okay, wow.
For a common nail.
Tutankhamun.
And he actually, if you can see in the image, you can see right about where I'm touching
my ear,
finger.
yeah.
If you move your head back, you can see the.
There we go. Yeah.
See the nail?
Yeah.
Well, he called it
Stars.
Wow.
And he even painted it kind of like a monarch butterfly wings.
Uh-huh.
And that Cessna airplane was on the wall as part of an art show that Craig O'Rourke ran a gallery in the hotel called the American
Gallery. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And this was part of the show. And it was only supposed to be up for about 6 weeks.
What happened?
Well, because of a number of issues, it ended up staying up there for a couple of years.
There was some litigation, and we'll have to see the movie to get the details, right?
Yeah, but it's a beautiful work of art, and it actually still exists.
The actual plane is still in possession of the
Karen
of the widow?
Zinder-Schuler still has the plane.
Wow.
She has the wings. It's incredible. It's
One day, LACMA will do that Schuler tribute, and it'll be back up for LA to see.
It might be. It's
Oh,
incredible.
and here is now this guy's got a lot of stories about the American Hotel. Ray Newton. I walked through the door of Al's, and there's 6 guys sitting at the bar. They're all wearing motorcycle jackets, and there's not a motorcycle in sight. I thought, what a bunch of posers! But I went in and I never left.
This is the cinematographer for Tales of the American.
Ray Newton is a cinematographer.
He's a cinematographer, and I knew he lived in the hotel, and he's lived in the area he came to downtown Los Angeles when I did in 1976-77.
Wow.
So I moved down there in late 76, he came down in 77, and that's when it really was the Wild West downtown. And he has a depth of knowledge of the area and the hotel itself because of the fact that he lived there. And I knew that if I needed someone who could really capture the feel, and it would be Raymond Newton. And he did a great job on this film.
But he doesn't live in the American Hotel anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He's at the one Santa Fe, isn't he?
He is in what we call the cruise ship.
He's in that quarter-mile long cruise ship, man.
Right.
Ray, you went yuppie on us.
Well, no, he got a good deal.
Oh, he got a good deal?
He got an artist deal. So he's in a really, really nice little place.
Nobody wanted his room because it's apartment 666.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go. We got more images of this crazy place. And now who's
my
this?
God.
If you don't know who this is, you haven't been lived at the American Hotel in the last 30 years.
This is Jesse Easter, and Jesse Easter has lived in the American Hotel, come in and out several times, but he's lived there for about 30 years. He did a majority of the soundtrack for this movie.
Really?
And he wrote 2 songs which I've used in the movie that are beautiful songs. One's called The Ballad of the American Hotel.
Okay.
And the other one's called Als Bar Blues.
Okay.
And he did such an incredible job on these. We brought him into the studio, in a professional recording studio, and he did these songs. And he's done some of the instrumental songs in other parts of the movie.
Okay.
Along with Pop Defect.
The band Pop Defect, the house band at Als Bar.
And Nick Scott and Alan and Charlie Hutchinson, they've been really wonderful with their music. They've been very generous. And other people like Leather Hyman, another band, Jake LaBatz.
Pretty hard band, yeah. Oh yeah, Jake LaBatz.
Jake
okay.
LaBatz
Great.
did a song called The Room, and it's all about being a heroin addict in the American Hotel. And it's a pretty powerful
Fun times,
song.
kids.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, it's a pretty harrowing song, but it's a great song. And Jake did the song right there during his interview in the room of the American Hotel. We also have people that live there for a few years. Romero Fauve, Kyle McCulloch did a song called Living on Shaky Ground. You know Kyle McCulloch.
I know Kyle McCulloch,
Yeah.
He lived at the American Hotel the same time I did.
Yeah.
So here we have somebody's painting a mural on the American.
Yeah, this is, I believe, the UTI crew.
Yes, the UTI, exactly.
And UTI crew is composed of a number of people, and one of them is Joe Montalvo,
Nuke.
a.k.a. Nuke.
He's been a guest here on Modern Art Blitz.
Nuke has been really an incredible wealth of graffiti work, and he's in.
Because there was a time where the American Hotel is, Traction and Hewitt, between Alameda and the river, that was like the only place in like 91, 92 that these kids could go and they could just graffiti every night and almost never get bugged about it.
Right, and when the cops would show up and make them, go up against the wall, and they would, make them get on their knees with their hands behind their heads, people like Stacy would come out and say, no, 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 it's okay. They're allowed to do that here, and the cops would have to uncuff them and let them go.
Well,
But Nuke has been great. Another graffiti artist named Swan, part of the UTI crew, David Vargas. And he's also in the movie, and he's been great. And they've been very supportive of the project and lent a lot of their work and a lot of the murals that they've done on the American Hotel.
they're helping you tell their story.
Yes.
So
Yes,
great.
They've been really good. And the thing I got to emphasize about this is that a lot of regular people have lived in the American Hotel, but their stories are emblematic of what I call the other. And that is a part of society that the regular white power structure of society wanted to be in that area. In other words, from the day the American Hotel was born, they wanted black people to stay in this hotel because they wanted blacks to stay in this area.
They wanted the other.
The other.
Okay.
And when the blacks moved down Central Avenue and the Japanese were in Little Tokyo and they pushed over there, the entire hotel became Japanese.
What happened when they built Manzanar in the internment camps?
Well, you'll see in the movie what happened.
Got to see the movie. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're looking now at two pioneers of what's now called the Arts District. This is, I would say this is circa 1994, maybe, would you?
That's exactly when it was, 1994. I took this photograph standing on top of a metal bar called Coffee Strippers, which is at the corner of Hewitt and Traction, and on the left is Joel Bloom, who virtually named the area the Arts District.
Yes.
And he'd probably be rolling over in his grave if he knew what the Arts District has become now, but
Oh, who the hell cares? I can get better espresso here.
he might have been a little upset about the rents. But the man on the right is Alberto Miares, who we call the real American artist. And he
Spiritual advisor to Coagula Art Journal.
Great guy, incredible artist, and he has made he's done some of the most incredible, powerful performance works. One of his was called the Flame-Throwing Espresso Rod.
The Flame-Throwing Espresso Rod, yep.
And he drove it around
in the Arts District.
In the Arts District with a 20-foot flame shooting out of the back.
Yeah, you couldn't do that now with all USC kids, you know.
Oh, you couldn't do it at all. You'd kill 50 people. But he would have a flamethrower coming out of the back of his fake fire truck. It looked like a fire truck, but instead, as he says, instead of putting out fires,
is there footage of this in Tales of the American?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I shot a ton of footage, so did Jay Paris.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Paris shot footage of you up in your hotel window.
Oh, dear.
And you back in the day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's that? It's Nick Scott from
there
Pop
he
to
is.
Effect.
There he is.
Wearing an Als Bar t-shirt overlooking the American Hotel.
Okay, where we are, we're at the 810 East 3rd Street building on the rooftop looking down at the American Hotel.
Okay.
And Nick Scott is drinking his favorite, but we had to, one of the stipulations, Nick said, I won't do the interview unless you supply me with Arrogant Bastard beer.
It was named after Nick Scott, if I recall correctly.
Actually, Nick is a sweetheart.
I know, he's a good guy.
He's
Totally
the
good
total
guy.
opposite of an arrogant bastard.
I remember his first band, the Acid Bats. So that's how far back I go with those guys. Oh, yeah.
This is before
That's
Pop
before
Effect?
Pop Effect, yeah. Wow, yeah.
The Acid
They actually
Bats.
allowed Australians in the band. It was terrible.
Was Nick the drummer?
I believe so, yes.
Wow,
yes.
that's great. I'll have to ask him about the Acid Bats.
Oh, yeah, great band. Great, they were a great fucking band, yeah. I remembered them all those years. So, is it almost time for our video? Hey,
wow.
We're gonna be showing the first ever clip promoting Tales of the American, the film about the history of the American Hotel in the center of the Arts District for 112 years prior to the Arts District. Directed and produced by Stephen Seemayer and Pamela Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, roll film!
People think of it as kind of a transitory place, but it actually really is a community.
The American Hotel, we're all here because we're not all there. I lost a $100 bet, so I had to shave off my eyebrows.
Some people think, oh, you're the American, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, this is the coolest place on earth.
The fun thing about the American Hotel is like little pockets of creative lunacy and beauty.
Als Bar. That place was unbelievable. Als Bar was the shit at the time.
Every major punk band played there.
Als Bar was like the CBGBs of the West Coast.
The American Hotel was the nucleus for all of the shenanigans that happened around it.
It really felt like there was a lot of freedom down here. There were no cops. We just kind of owned the neighborhood.
When I think back to that time, I think of all the different characters. Very colorful, flamboyant characters.
It was the writers, the painters, the musicians, the wackadoos, the whatnots, every walk of life.
I can't tell you how much fun it was living here in the hotel because there was always something happening. You know, the American will always be the American. The American Hotel will always have a spot in here and in here.
You don't just live in the American Hotel, you become a part of the American Hotel.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, all right. Hey, and the winner for Best Documentary, okay, so we're getting ahead of ourselves there. But let me ask you, Steve, we just saw that very cool video. You started this 4 years ago.
It's been, this month will be 4 years that we started doing research on it.
So you interviewed 149 people. You and I the other day were talking about 6 people that you interviewed have already passed away.
Unfortunately, there have been 6 people, and they were really, really interesting people from...
Who were they? Let's name them.
William Mitchell, Richard Duardo, Jim Fittipaldi, Rocco Rossi, Stevie Casual, who just died a couple weeks ago, unfortunately.
And Al Watt?
And Al Watt, Big Al.
So, yeah. And I just talked to the other day, George Joachim had a picture of him and his son, and I said, "Wasn't your son born at the American Hotel?" And he said, "Yeah." So
really,
it was just a shot on Facebook. I said, "Somehow I remember hearing that somebody had a baby at there." So birth and death, it's a fascinating microcosm of 20th century history. Would you say?
It absolutely is, and it's occurred right on this corner. Again, it's always the other that society has pushed toward this hotel, from originally blacks, then Japanese, then Mexican Americans, and then finally artists. When it had reached the bottom of the barrel in the early 70s, now suddenly artists started to move in, and then from there.
But it took 40 years of artists being there before it was what it was today, right? So,
and it's quite a bit different than it's ever been, because it's become super trendy.
Yeah, it's kind of trendy now, you know. So give it one small quake and one big riot, or one big quake and one small riot, and we'll get right back to being the other, right?
It could it could be again, and and a lot of it's a matter of economics.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And I think I'm hoping that the American Hotel does stay around. And I'm happy that the new owner, Mark Verge, has had the vision and the resources to put into this hotel and to save it. It may not be the same anymore as it was when other people owned it, but it's still there. And there are still some of the old residents that live in it.
And not many things in LA are still there, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, this is going to be on the film festival circuit for most of the 2017 and early 2018?
Maybe.
Maybe. You're dealing with distributors right now, haggling and all that stuff?
Yep.
Yep.
And things look good.
And the friends and family and cast and crew premiere is?
Screening is tomorrow night at the Downtown Independent Theater.
Sold out!
Yeah.
Sorry, not even standing room only. All right, well, I'll see you there because apparently I'm in the movie too.
Yes,
Steve?
Great.
Stephen Seemayer, a film producer and artist, thank you so much for joining us on Modern Art Blitz. We'll be back right after this!